Welcome to Junk Connoisseurs, here with Alan, Jordan, and Alex. How's everybody doing?
Great. So we're not in our regularly scheduled place of recording today.
We're not in our normal studio. We're in the dusty barn, the Meantree Rust and Manure Generation Facility, as we call it around here.
Got it.
We had some good shares on the social media, which will be several weeks in the past at the time of the airing. But thanks, folks, for sharing us on, Facebook is what I know about, because that's
basically all we use.
Social media for 40-somethings. And
oh, I just remembered. I was like, hey, speak for your... Oh, never mind. It's hell getting old.
Different subject. Jordan, not to pick on you a bit, in one of the episode recordings, we got crucified in the future comments section over you associating the island of Misfit toys to Toy Story.
That was what the tour guide said. So blame him.
Oh, really? That was what he said? All right.
Yeah.
So that's actually from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, yeah.
I had to Google it because I was like, man, I'm not an expert at Toy Story, but for a 48-year-old dude, I know it pretty well. I don't remember that part.
No, he said something about Toy Story 4. I haven't seen it in forever.
Oh, Toy Story 4, it might have been in that then.
I don't know. You are right, though. Now that you say Rudolph claymation whatever from like 1962. Yep, that all checks out.
I had to think about that. I was like, I don't remember that from the early Toy Stories, 1 or 2, but then I kind of lost track of the Toy Stories. So anyway, anybody have anybody drag home a fun project? I think somebody dragged away a project today.
Scrap. Yeah, it made it to the scrapyard this morning. What was left of the Jaguar is now gone. All the parts I have are the ones I want.
Nice.
And none of the parts I don't want, and I'm a whopping $118 richer because of it.
Money, money, money.
But I also learned, at least at this one scrapyard in Missouri, you don't need a title to scrap a vehicle older than 2007, which was not what I was expecting. I had the title in my pocket. I was ready to show it, and they were just like, here you go.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Probably sell that for something. It's not worth nothing.
That's legal advice from our
cheese bag counsel.
Illegal advice from your legal counsel.
Yeah.
As your attorney, don't do that. As your friend, what? I'm not your boss.
Yeah.
Most of the cars I've had to scrap recently, and I haven't scrapped a whole car recently, have not required title. So I'm not up on what the age requirement is for needing a title to scrap a car in Missouri. But
I didn't know that there were. I would have guessed it was much, much older than that, and that it was a stationary date, like 1987 or something, where now vehicles have been on the road long enough, whatever, they should have proper tracking. If it's newer than that, it might have a lien against it, something like that. But no, apparently I can go buy a Facebook Marketplace questionable Maserati from 2004, no title. Just send that puppy right on down the road after I take all the fun Ferrari parts out of it.
I bet what would be more worrisome is just cruising through the Walmart parking lot with your tow dolly and hitching up to something that's the appropriate age and disappearing. Now, they do get a copy of your driver's license when you go to the scrap place. So you are, in that situation, you are not the customer. You are the vendor, and this recycler is the customer. So,
so I wouldn't recommend doing weird things, but it does make purchasing a parts truck from 1999 that has or whenever the 5.3 came in. Anyway, a $600 parts truck with no title, a little more reasonable to deal with, because that was always like, what do you do with it when you're done?
Tell them it's a refrigerator.
Well,
with a VIN.
in the olden days, I thought you had to literally like cut it up with a sawzall.
I think yeah, you draw and quarter it.
Yeah.
And essentially you're like, I have these 4 individual chunks of car without a title, and they're like, good enough for us.
They all happen to be exactly
yeah.
the same color.
Well, no, you mix them and match them, so you have to do it like 3 times, and then you take like, you've seen like the Harlequin VW Golf where each panel's painted. Yeah, you just kind of like stick them on the trailer, and I'm like, this part is a Fairmont, and this part's a truck. Yeah.
Playing the long game of recycling.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to burst your bubble, but I when I took in that white Crown Vic I took apart, which was a 2010, it all was on the same trailer, and they didn't care. But it also was in many pieces, so.
They didn't ask about the title for that one?
No. They just used the big old scoop and pulled it out of the trailer.
I've never actually scrapped a car. I have scrapped a refrigerator and a couple other things, but yeah, no, I have never actually taken a car to the scrapyard. I've taken like car parts that, catalytic converters from parts cars before they became worth their weight in gold. What'd you get for the converter did you hang on to that as part of the exhaust system?
I still have that in the exhaust system.
So I'm like, that would probably be worth twice what the car was worth when you.
I bet it won't.
Yeah, I think maybe the days of super, because
Have they come back down?
Yeah, because I got on the online one, which was the highest prices, and the said Crown Vic from 2010, which has 4 catalytic converters, was $60
For all 4.
It may have been 60 for each pair, because they're like a pre and a
right.
But maybe no, maybe it's like 80 total. It was something that I just kept them because it wasn't worth me doing facial recognition for that. For $500, I probably would have, but
now you're on the grid,
right? Whereas the Jaguar being old and European, maybe it's got weird metal in it. Like, it may be worth more. Like, I think Prius cats are still worth a lot. Hence why they get cut out all the time. But
I've got a retirement stash of catalytic converters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every time
the market.
I take them off of the cars before I scrap them, the few that I've done, or if I'm having a new exhaust system put on with new catalytic converters. Yes, let's go with that. I hang on to them, and then whenever I see somebody trying to buy them on the Facebook or whatever, they're not worth anything. I don't know. Everybody acts like these catalytic converters are worth their weight in gold. Well,
they were for a while. I mean,
even when things seem to be going hot and heavy, and maybe I just had the wrong ones. My stuff's also kind of old, so maybe I had one guy say, "Sorry, we don't buy mufflers." It's like, you dip. That's not a muffler.
That's just an idiot.
It's from an 80s Ford, so it looked to him like a catalytic converter he hadn't seen before. I assume it is what was going on.
So like a good example is that listener Dan was telling me that he was building challenge car, trying to get all the money out of it he could, and it was like a 2001 Forester, I think. And that online place gave him a quote for $700 for a set of cats from a 2001 Forester.
I think the newer post Y2K stuff just must have more platinum or palladium or whatever it is.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have I think like the vehicles that are supposed to be like partial zero emission, like a Prius, have got even stranger metal mixtures, and that's why those are even more valuable. I think diesels maybe also have that, because that seems to be what I see on the internet a lot. People having their...
Well, they don't have catalytic converters. Do they have diesel particulate filters? Maybe they have catalytic converters.
I don't know. New diesels, I have no... I don't know. I have little concept of diesel in general, and new ones are even more. So I just see them on the internet where people put them back and then they weld like 3/4-inch stranded wire cabling around it to try and stop people from cutting them out.
For a while during the pandemic, you could buy what was effectively a skid plate for your Prius that would just bolt up over the catalytic converter with safety, like with security bolts, so somebody couldn't just sawzall it.
I assume that my experience with not being able to sell catalytic converters for real money is probably that they're too old to be worth real money.
Yeah, they could just be whatever mixture it is in that particular model is not what people are looking for.
And it's not a game I want to play that bad anyway because
they're still worth cutting out of a parts car and selling separately. But I mean,
I need
on
to do
the
that.
other hand, if you've got a vehicle without a title that needs a title to scrap and it has a catalytic converter on it, sketchy folks will show up and haul it away if it's got a catalytic converter, maybe even give you a little cash. So it makes a car worth it to a scrapper to haul away.
But then the sketchy folk know where you live and what your house looks like.
That's a trade-off. I agree. I
Yes,
agree.
There are some there's some things to consider in that.
Yes, indeed. I make sure to introduce them to our German Shepherd.
Yeah, I don't think any of my pets are really all that threatening. So
See that dog barking behind the fence over there? That's Freya. All right, well, I think tonight Jordan has a subject picked out to talk about. What do we got tonight? We're going to, let's see, was Lotus involved?
I don't believe Lotus was involved.
Okay.
It's possible, but I read lots of stuff and nobody ever used those 5 letters.
Okay.
So,
carbureted or fuel injected.
carbureted.
So it wasn't an Iron Duke.
Come on, those always came with carbs, right? And they came from like 1971 all the way through 2005.
Hey, it's a GM 4-cylinder.
It must be an Iron Duke. So,
Yeah.
yes, it was a carbureted vehicle. I do not believe Lotus was involved. I think that's as far as we made it.
That's it so far.
Carbureted, Lotus not involved. We're not sure whether it was an Iron Duke or not.
It was not an Iron Duke.
Okay.
I will give you that one.
Did Chrysler do it first?
I don't think so.
Okay. So it's not Chrysler.
No.
Okay, so we can rule that out.
Yeah.
Which wheels were driven?
The correct ones.
Right.
Left side only.
Yeah.
The right side only would be right. No.
It was fighting words.
All right. So we've got
It sounds like a broken tank. It just does nothing but donuts.
It's fun to me.
fewer or greater than 5 cylinders.
Fewer exclusively.
Okay. So we had a 4-cylinder or smaller rear-wheel drive.
Is it fewer than 4 cylinders?
No.
Okay.
It is 4.
Okay.
Carbureted 4-cylinder. Was this a domestic manufacturer? Or is it complicated?
It's complicated, but the answer is mostly no.
Okay. Mostly a foreign manufacturer.
Yes.
Complicated, carbureted, 4-cylinder, rear-wheel drive. Domestic-ish. No, foreign-ish.
Forced induction or natural aspiration?
Naturally aspirated.
Okay.
I got it, but I'll wait.
Well, I'm a long ways off still.
He doesn't have one, but he wants one.
That's a lot of stuff.
Was this 60s, give or take,
Yes.
time frame? Are we talking about some sort of little British convertible?
Close, but
Okay.
no.
Okay. All right. That's just where my mind went.
Did the same mechanicals underpin some little British convertibles, essentially?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, it might be something different. So it's not a Nash Metropolitan?
It is not a Nash
Oh, man.
Metropolitan.
Okay. I know you'd been eyeballing those for a while. And I'm
they're
like,
just so
"Tight."
dorky, and I like
Yeah,
that.
but they're awesome. But they're an American car with a British engine and British mechanicals. So I'm like,
Nope.
there's your crossover.
Yeah,
So
no,
later than that, then.
This, I believe, yes, later than that, and this is less complicated than what you're thinking of.
Is it some sort of Opel?
It is some sort of Opal.
I only really know of 1.5 Opals.
It's probably
This
the one
would
you're thinking
be
of.
The Opel GT.
Yes,
All right.
it's the Opal GT, the the baby Corvette.
And
Kind
so
of.
I was called out earlier this week on how delightful it was to listen to me realize that they made cars in Europe. So
Wow, that's rude.
was this car made in Europe?
It was made in both France and Germany. So the coach builder was in France.
No.
Because Opel didn't have enough factory space when they were going to launch this car to build the whole thing internally. So they had this this contract with a French manufacturer, which I am not going to try their name.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Come on. It's, okay,
he's
so
learned-
as close as you can get. I
he's
think it's
learned not to.
Ulies.
No, here you go. Right
Oh,
there.
never mind.
Yeah, you
Brissino et Lutz.
Yeah, I'm sure that was accurate.
No, close enough. I thought it was Hulies, which was
No.
the other French coach builder right now.
So, yes, we're talking about. We'll get back to that in a minute. Sorry, I keep listening to like bees and stuff fly
I
by.
know.
yeah, I swear to
know.
God, that horsefly is going to be audible on this.
It is. We're gonna have. It's a.
I
think
promise.
we've got a carpenter bee checking us out, like
Yeah.
on patrol. So
It'll be fine. It's just a little bit of extra,
little grit.
little spice.
Yeah.
Sorry, the LZ is hot right now, and we're just recording until we all medevac.
So, yes, we're talking about the Buick in the United States. Well, it's not actually a Buick. So they sold the Buick Opel, which was, I think, an Opel Kadett, right?
Okay.
Or is that a Manta?
That was the half of one that I knew about.
Yeah. So it
That was
was
a Manta, but that was later, I think. But they sold the Opel, they sold the GT through the Buick dealerships.
yes.
didn't they?
Yeah. So the Opel GT was sold through Buick dealerships in the United States, which was the majority of the sales for this vehicle. They made about 100,000 of them, 103,000. 2/3 of those came to the U.S. The years they were sold were 68 to 73.
Okay.
68 only had a couple, so it was mainly 69 to 73. And part of coming to the United States was they had all these Buick dealerships that had pretty uninspiring products for the youths. So GM was on the hunt for something that they could give dealerships that actually wanted to try and sell it, and apparently there was a bit of a mixed bag in that regard. A little sporty vehicle that they can try and spin off to young adults instead of
Doesn't seem like Buick's target demographic overall would cross over with the person you're trying to sell a 2-seat German sports car to.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean,
No,
that's
you're
just
not
me.
wrong.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
I wasn't alive in the 60s, but I do know some of the products that Buick made in the 60s, and none of those seem to be pointed at the sophisticated, I don't want a Mustang, but I want a Mustang buyer.
Well, they did do muscle cars,
But were any of those smaller?
not
Fuel
pony
efficient?
cars. No, that's. I mean, you're
Yeah.
correct.
So, like,
I guess so. Yeah, I said muscle cars, but the Camaro and Mustang were the pony cars, and then
Yes.
the muscle cars were slightly larger. But I think they all get kind of lumped together as
that's
muscle
fair.
cars.
And I probably shouldn't use the Mustang as an example. This was definitely more targeted at, like, MGB and Fiat 124.
Okay.
So I have a couple of other things like the Triumph GT6, BMW 2002. These were all sort of in a similar category. The Triumph maybe being a bit bigger since it had a straight six engine.
They are not big.
No, I mean as far as bigger wasn't the right word. They're more expensive, perhaps.
Possibly, yeah. 'Cause
The
you're
BMW
probably looking more at the Spitfire competitors
Yeah.
here, or like maybe kind of punching between those 2.
Yeah, because for apparently for its size, it was actually quite quick because it was very small and would pull away from like the BMW 2002.
The Opel or the
The Opel.
GT6? Yeah,
No,
the Opels ran good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny considering that they had 2 engine options. The base engine, which had a very low take rate, but was a 1.1 liter 4-cylinder engine that made 67 gross horsepower. So
That is gross.
it's like Yeah, it is. It's like, what, 5 horsepower in today's numbers?
Them Chevette numbers.
Yeah.
Well, they're metric horsepower, so that is, I don't know what the conversion factor is, but
Okay, so what was the Chevette weight?
I think I remember around 2,000
yeah,
pounds.
1,800 to 2.
So this is exactly Chevette numbers for the
Okay.
base engine because it was 1,800 to 2,000 pounds.
Okay.
So as I said, the take rate on the 1.1 liter was real low, to the tune of about 3,500. It seems.
Wow.
I saw another one that alluded that it was more like 10,000, so 10%, but that could be 3,500 in the U.S. and then, in other places where a 1.1 liter engine wouldn't be so terrible.
And almost everywhere in Europe ties the tax you pay
Right.
to the displacement of the engine.
Yeah.
Which is why, you get some interesting specials like Ferrari deciding to build a 2-liter V8
Yes.
in the 308 for a while because in Italy a 3-liter V8 was too expensive to tax. So they built a 2-liter V8 and sold it had sold well enough, even though it was already a Ferrari and it was already conspicuous consumption.
Right.
Yeah, wild. I think Spain got it too, but yeah.
It's the cheapskates Ferrari.
I think Japan adopted that as well. So a lot of their hot cars had the 2-liter limit, and that's when things started getting wild with turbos and whatnot. So for the hefty sum of $99, you could upgrade to a 1.9 liter engine that originally was quoted at making 100-ish horsepower.
Okay. That's a big displacement upgrade.
Yes. I think that the 100 horse is probably optimistic because, once again, that was gross horsepower. So that's where they measure horsepower effectively without any of the accessories on the engine.
No drivetrain loss.
Yeah, so it's the most optimal situation for an engine. Whereas modern-ish methods are net, is that what they call it?
Net, as I understand it, the net horsepower you get is still horsepower at the crankshaft, but it's running the water pump and the alternator and all the accessories that you would expect to see on an engine.
Yeah.
And then there's wheel horsepower, which is what it actually puts to the ground.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to change depending on if you have an efficient manual transmission or a bit more power sapping automatic or something in the middle like a dual clutch or whatever. So topic for another time when we're not talking about something that had
100 horsepower.
100 horsepower, and most of these came with a 4-speed manual. You could get an automatic, but apparently nobody bought them because the 0 to 60 time for the 1.9 liter was 11 seconds, which I guess in 1969 isn't the worst,
Not
but
terrible. It's not terrible for a 4-cylinder car.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, that was the gap. That was the gap with sports cars in the 60s and 70s versus just buying an American sedan. Is the sports car, you had to work it to make it do anything, and the Impala in the next lane with a 352 barrel was going to leave you for dead without trying.
torque.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of these came with the bigger engine. It was actually, I guess this is an Opel thing mainly, but they came up with a design where it's not an overhead cam engine, but the camshaft is still in the head.
Okay.
So it's like a pushrod engine, but there's no push rods.
Okay.
The cam directly activates the lifter rocker arms. It's
It's basically an overhead cam. It's just a little bit like I've seen
Overhead, but to the side.
yeah. It takes up less vertical space. It's a little more horizontal space for a 2-valve engine. I don't know. It was big in marketing, so I figured that was something worth mentioning.
What did they call it?
Cam and head.
Yeah, cam and head.
Cam and head.
Yeah. And it seemed like a good compromise for if you only want to run a 2-valve engine.
Mm-hmm.
This seemed like a good way to make one that was very compact.
Makes sense.
And I don't know, maybe it costs a little less than an overhead cam, maybe not. It's using kind of the regular old school rocker arm style. But as with so many things, came out in 1968. They had that over 100 horsepower rating. They made like 7 of them. So they 69 have the 1969 model year was the first one where they actually had large production, and they went from the first few being hand assembled with a high compression head, and the compression drop that all vehicles had from 1970 to 1975 started in 1969 for this car. So it was already starting its way down. So by 1969, it was already down to 90 horsepower and then dropped to 75 horsepower by 1973. So you're taking a car that's sprightly but not fast, and it's just getting more and more hampered. But then again, that's what everything was doing in the 70s. So
Yeah, that is true.
But it looked cool.
it did look cool.
So this was the sporty, swoopy looking
Yes.
Opel, right? Okay.
Baby C3 Corvette, basically.
Yeah.
Pop-up
Yeah.
lights. And
Right.
yeah, they had a couple of other swoopy looking, like the Cadet wasn't ugly and the Manta was really cool.
Yeah, I think Manure
But
looks nice.
the GT was the baby Corvette looking one.
So there, as things have a tendency to happen on the internet, there was a little conflicting information.
Really?
So, 1963, the design group in Opel decided that they wanted to make a 2-seat sports car. And at some point, they also decided we want to make sure that it doesn't cost more than $3,000 US. So it was 10,000 marks or whatever German at that point. And they designed this kind of in secret, and they didn't ever show the GM brass the design. So then 1965 Frankfurt Auto Show, they unveil this design, and oh, by the way, it looks almost exactly like a C3 Corvette,
Which wasn't out yet.
which was not out yet, but it was being developed secretly in the United States by possibly one person who worked on both teams. But I don't know. It's a little vague.
The Germans do not have divided loyalties, Jordan. There's never been an example in the past of a German working for one company, and then going to work for the never mind.
Yeah.
Yay, NASA!
Yeah, so it's just very funny that the official stories all say that there's no correlation between these two designs that are very similar.
They are really similar.
Yeah, they're really close. And, it could be that it was a sign of the times, and I don't know. But, like, one of the American components of the design team worked on the Corvette in the late 50s. So I'm guessing that possibly there was already discussions about the third generation and what it was going to look like, and then he shows up in Germany and starts talking about various things, and here we are.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
So it was a cool-looking car, but in order to keep it cheap, they had to do what everybody does and parts bin engineer the rest of it to hell and back. So it was just a Cadet, which the Cadet was Opel's sort of like basic introductory 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive economy car.
Which later became the Chevette.
Right.
Oh,
The next generation Cadet was the basis for
Yes.
the T-Car and the Chevette.
That's great.
Yeah. Because we can only do General Motors economy cars on this podcast.
I was looking
Welcome to GM Screws Up a Cheap Car with Alex, Jordan, and Alan. Are you noticing a theme yet?
honestly, after researching about this, I feel a lot better about these as a possible purchase because they don't seem to have all that many flaws.
Yeah.
So
They're small inside. Like, you will be cramped.
no, I get that. The articles of the day said that it was spacious for what it was. Like, compared to an MG Midget or even maybe an MGB, it's had decent amounts of head and leg room. They are very narrow, though. So, yes, it used the underpinnings from the Cadet. So it just used basic, it was coil spring and panhard bar in the back and double A-arms up front with a transverse leaf spring, which was... yeah.
Again, Corvette tie-in. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Cadet, I think, was already using the transverse leaf spring. For, I don't know.
Interesting.
I was looking at diagrams, and from a packaging perspective, it looks great because it's just a flat bar that goes inside the lower control arms out to the ends of the arms. And then there's one shock that goes up through the middle of the upper A-arm. Like, I guess it doesn't handle that well because it was not built for this vehicle. It was just like slapped in there.
Okay.
But they did do some testing to make it better. And what they ended up doing is they took some mules to Nuremberg because that's where you do all your sports car testing, apparently even then. And they ran them around the ring, and they had one that was basically just the chassis from the Cadet.
Okay.
And then they had another one that they had taken the engine and moved it 16 inches back.
That would help.
That one drove a lot better. Who would have guessed? So they were talking to the design team, and they're like, okay, well, this is the cheap one, and this is the one that doesn't suck. And he's like, well, no, we're definitely going to go with the one that doesn't suck, and the accountants can go away.
Yay!
Yeah. So it
Sure.
was still a compromise because they were not getting to develop their own geometry. They were just using whatever the Cadet had, and
You can build whatever you want as long as it uses most of this design.
right. But the shape of the body, anyways, it would have required a rework, I believe, for the engine to fit in the Cadet location.
Right.
Because now you move the engine 16 inches back, it's actually like a mid-front engine, which is a very Ferrari type thing.
Again, Corvette, anyone?
Yeah. Was the C2 like that, or
I'm not very familiar with the second generation Corvette, but I know that the third and fourth
Right.
they have a pretty good engine setback. The design of the car was meant for that. I mean, that's one
Like
way to get the weight balance
The
way you
distributors
want it.
under the dash, and
yeah.
it's set back.
Front of
as
the
hard as they can
engine's
make it.
at or behind the center line of the front wheels. That's a pretty good combination
Yeah.
there. And
So apparently the weight distribution, I think it was 54% was over the front axle, which for a car that they're building off of whatever they're allowed to use, that's pretty good.
yeah, that's
And it was an all cast iron 4-cylinder, so it wasn't light.
true.
No, so they did a pretty good job with what they had available. As Europe loves to do, and we can probably blame the EPA for this, but I don't like to do that. They're doing their best. They got a dual carb version of the 1.9 that made 128 horsepower, which I bet that was quite sprightly.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, did not come to the U.S. Let's see, where were we? Oh, to continue the Corvette-ness, did not have a trunk. You had to access the luggage space behind the seats from by moving the seat out of the way. There was no way to open the rear end of the vehicle. You had a flat tire. You had to crawl back behind the driver's seat and pull the cover off of the partial shelf, and then dig your spare tire out, which admittedly was a 165/13 or something. It was tiny.
Yeah.
And then drag it all out through the little hole that is the space between the steering, the driver's seat.
Doesn't seem very German, but
Maybe they just
They built it for us. They just assumed
that's
we
true.
would.
True, yeah.
Americans will just abandon it before they change the tire.
perhaps. So in making that cool swoopy body, though, they ran it through a wind tunnel.
Oh, nice.
And did real testing, which is very German.
Yes.
and it had a for the 7 people who care, maybe not even that many, but it had a 0.36 drag coefficient, which is really good for something from the 60s.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about some kind of Citroen before, Citroen. The CX in the 70s had the same drag coefficient, and it was a weird
designed to be an aerodynamic.
Yeah, it was a weird French car that was specifically built for that reason, and this just happened to look cool.
Oh, the Germans out-engineered the French? Nobody saw that coming. Say what?
The Germans built something that was really attractive.
That's a little surprising. That
Yeah.
didn't really happen until later.
So apparently, it didn't say which designer, but some automotive designer. So I would assume somebody from like Pininfarina or something, some design house like that. At the Frankfurt Auto Show, went over to the Porsche booth and was like, "You guys got to go look at the Opel booth. It's crazy. They built this sports car. You need to look at it." And they were all like, "Nah," they didn't believe that.
Well, Opel had a very stodgy reputation.
Oh
up to
yeah,
that
that's
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely like Opel as a company sounds an awful lot like 85% of Buick.
Yeah.
Not all of Buick, because Buick has made some really interesting stuff over the years.
Yes.
And had at this point. But no, they were just apparently that was part of the problem with like internally getting this car approved by Opel brass is that all the olden guys were like, nah.
It only has 2 seats.
Yeah.
Where do the children sit?
Yes. So I think it maybe had some American influence as far as the ability to get that across the line. But it was super popular at the auto show, so I think they kind of got backed into a corner because nobody really knew about it internally until like a month before the show, and they showed it to some GM execs, and they're like, yeah, put that in the show. Let's see what happens. And then it was real popular.
Huh.
So, yes, as I said earlier, the body was built by a French coachwork company that Alan got to slaughter the name this time instead of me, so that's fun. Even with what is probably 90 horsepower at best, it still had 115 mile an hour top speed, which goes to show aerodynamics are important.
That would be pretty terrifying in a
I'm
2,000-pound car.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was awful.
Yeah.
They tried to keep the body lift down, I read in one article, but then I saw a review from somebody who had a modified one. They're like, yeah, at 120 it starts to lift off the ground. So, once again, as good as they could do for the 60s.
Yeah, that was most stuff back then. They didn't have computer modeling, and
Yeah.
I mean, most stuff becomes kind of a wing at speed.
That's true.
Yeah.
Without active measures to avoid it, all sedans, hatchbacks,
They become a really
sports
poor
cars
airfoil.
are really,
But it's
shaped-
enough. Yeah.
shaped kind of airfoil like.
So one of the most distinctive features of this car, though, is the headlights. It had these really large flip-over round headlights. And I think it's the dorkiest part of the car, but they had it was all mechanical. So like Corvettes frequently, I don't know about the C2s, but the C3s were vacuum operated. I think the 4s went to electric. But for this kind of thing, vacuum operated flaps or flip-ups are way more common for this era. And this just had a huge handle that looked like a parking brake, and you just rip it. Like the video I watched was like ka-conk.
I like it.
And they roll over on themselves instead of like flip up or whatever.
Positive lever engagement of headlights. I like it.
Armstrong lights.
Well, as long as you keep all the joints greased, it probably still works.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of that vacuum stuff is dead.
Exactly.
Dead. So it had solid front discs, power assisted rear drums, manual steering, but the steering apparently is like one of the better parts of the driving experience. Rust isn't really a huge issue on these cars compared to other similar vehicles at the time. Obviously they rust because, everything does.
Yeah.
But when I looked at these 20 years ago, and I was like, "Ooh, those are cool. I should see about getting one as a project." I heard people say, "Oh, they were rusting on the ship over here, blah blah blah." And then I went to go look for that to back it up before I put it in this episode. And it's like, no, these actually did a pretty good job overall. And there are still a number of them available because they don't just disappear into the ground like so many other things.
Right, yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at as far as the information on the vehicle.
Yeah.
They came out. They were really competitive with the European similar offerings. So you had the Fiat 124, you had the MGB GT, the BMW 2002, the Triumph GT6. Performance-wise, it was well in line with all of those, if not a little better than probably everything but maybe the GT6. But I don't think that 6-cylinder was really all that much to write home about.
They were faster than everything with a 4-cylinder.
But I don't think they turned very well.
They turned great until they didn't. They had they had ambush handling characteristics that made a 911 look docile.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, when you have a big-ass boat anchor out the front of your
Was that a suspension design issue?
Suspension
What did
design,
they have?
It was something to do with the, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was especially the first two iterations of the GT6 had suspension that had either it was really wonky camber curve, or there was something to do with.
Is that the one that had a positive camber when under load?
Yeah, or something like that. It was just bad. And then they fixed it just in time for everybody to be like, "Oh, those things are evil," and not buy them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Once the reputation was in, they had it fixed.
Well, and more than likely, we were getting into British Leyland land, which we talked about.
A little earlier than that.
They were fixed by then?
Yeah, they were fixed by the early 70s and gone by like 73.
Okay.
I think that was when British Leyland. I think the government announced the idea of British Leyland in 73, and then spent the next 3 years kind of jamming square pegs into round holes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're saying they built cars in Europe?
It was only available for that small run, basically 69 to 73.
Okay.
Part of the reason it didn't continue is because 5-mile-an-hour bumpers came in to effect, and this is a pretty car that probably sold most of its, it made most of its sales on its looks.
I would agree.
So they decided not to. The other reason I heard is that the Nissan 240Z came out and just obliterated everything in this market.
Yeah.
Because it made more power, it was the same price or cheaper, and it looked awesome and drove at least as good as all of these.
I see.
Yeah. So
it was the total for 1970. It was the total package. It was faster than anything else without a V8. It was cheaper than most of its competition. Yeah. And it was, Japanese reliable, which 1970 Japanese reliable is not the equivalent of today's Japanese reliable.
No, but it was still
British reliable,
a bit ahead of U.S. and probably way ahead of Britain.
Yeah. So of these, perhaps the Opel was your winner for reliability.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think that they had any inherent flaws other than the front steering is fine, or the front suspension geometry is fine. The engines themselves are pretty durable. I don't know. They just, even though they sold 75,000 or more in this country, and I don't want to say never really caught on, but I think they're an economy sports car, and they just kind of got used and thrown away. There is not so MG, for example, has owner groups and people my grandpa had an MGA or a TD or whatever, and so they go out and look for these things. Opel stopped selling cars in this country in 1975. Not that MG made it much past that, but
MG was special here because the MG TC was a huge hit in England in the 40s, and American servicemen went over there, and by today's standards, the MG TC is laughably crude, but by the standards of guys who had grown up driving Model Ts and Model As, this thing was refined, it was fast, and it was affordable. And they brought a shitload of them back when they shipped back after World War II, and that was a big part of it. That was how MG got its foothold here.
Interesting.
And then they built the A, which looked great and was reliable for what it was, and the B was probably the best-selling British car over here anyway of ever, I would say.
Yeah, that's probably likely.
The Spitfire might have been close, but I mean, they sold a ton of them, and I think it was largely because of that foothold they got in the late 40s after World War II. They were also, I mean, at the time too, that was it. What else are you going to buy that's an affordable sports car here? Mm-hmm. That's actually a sports car, that's not just gussied up.
Yeah, in the 40s?
Mm-hmm. There's not much.
No.
I mean, there were a few coach builders who were building like one-off, but
and a lot of that was way too expensive.
Yeah. Tonight's episode of Junk Connoisseurs is brought to you by a special message from our newest sponsor. Do you suffer from sleep apnea? Are you a broke dreamer with more tools than finished projects? Will you be damned before you'll give that fat cat medical device company thousands of dollars for some fancy nightstand air pump? Well, DIYCPAP.com has got your solution. From the same people who gave you the idea you could build your own fuel injection computer or solar panel, comes the ability to build a mostly functional CPAP machine from commonly available household parts and an off-the-shelf Harbor Freight Predator 212 cubic centimeter gas engine. For just 6 easy payments of $19.95, we'll send you our easy-to-understand blueprints, a roll of HVAC flashing tape, 4.5 feet of our proprietary CPA PVC pipe, which is totally not the same as PVC pipe, we promise. You'll need to source a standard concert accordion, a box of 6-inch lag screws, 2 gallons of food-safe epoxy, and a preferably unopened 1990s Stretch Armstrong toy. With just a few hours of fiddling, you'll have your very own gas-powered CPAP machine that has almost never caused anyone's lungs to burst. Visit our website at DIYCPAP.com today and get started. Apnea? App not anymore. DIY CPAP.
Yeah, so these are still available. They haven't all disappeared into the ground. You can buy a decent one for under 10 grand.
Oh, wow.
Nice ones are up 25 to 30, but that's probably one that's got is either in really nice original shape or has gotten a restoration or something like that. So they exist. They're available. Apparently, modifying them, like putting larger engines in, is not terribly easy because the engine bay is so tight. The Opel sold a 2.4 liter version of that 1.9 that made 150 horsepower in Europe, and that you could import and just basically bolt it in, and it was great. But they weren't available here, so that didn't work. Overhead cam 4 cylinders don't fit super easily. You gotta cut a bunch of stuff.
Just not a lot of room height wise, I assume.
Yeah, a lot of it's height. Honestly, width is tight too.
Yep.
But I don't know. They're neat. I don't know if they, aside from the looks, what they would offer over other things though.
Right.
And the looks are cute, but I wouldn't say striking. I don't know. It's one of those things. I was thinking about whether or not at this point if I would go and look for that, since we're probably getting to that point of the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When I was an impressionable teenager, just about to think about what car I would like to be driving in a year or 3, I remember going to cruise nights and car shows and swap meets, and you'd see an Opel GT here and there, or the other thing I would see a lot of was MGBs, in basket case or project form, and something you could put together. And so they caught my eye then, and this was in the late 80s, early 90s. They were I don't know what to say. They were at an age where they were a good, approachable project car. And I don't think they had a lot of inherent value. So it would have been one that I could have talked my dad into working on with me and get one going. I don't know that he would have been interested in that. I think ultimately I agree with you. There are other things that I would rather have and not have to deal with the limited parts availability that come with a how many I gotta do math now. How many years old?
45.
45
Yeah.
plus 45-year minimum.
55
Yeah,
years.
55-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Older than me, project car. That would be challenging, and they did have striking looks. I don't know that I ever liked them as much as maybe a Corvette or something like that. How about you, Alan? Would you buy one of these?
You know, for the right deal, I wouldn't turn my nose up at one, but I'm in your all's camp. I don't think it's something I would go hunting for. They're neat. They are. I mean, I'll go one further than you guys and say I really like the looks. Like that, they nailed it on that. I have looked into them before. Jordan's right. They drive well. I would be put off by the fact that they're small inside, and I am not a small person.
On the outside.
Say what?
You're not a small person on the outside.
Oh no, I am small-minded and very much small in terms of my regard for humanity. But I am physically large.
Don't worry.
I'm sorry, you just walked right into that
I
one.
did.
Yeah.
And our listeners already know that. You don't need
Yeah,
to spell it out.
I mean, I made it clear. Well, Alex apparently doesn't think it. Everybody knows that already. So.
Let me explain the joke.
Anyway, yeah, no, I could go for them. They do seem like a good deal. For me, it seems like it would have to be the right circumstances. It would have to be, you know, how we fall into most of our shit, where it's like, hey, this is cheaper than it should be, and it's all there and together and running. And
Yeah.
it'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to lose.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't turn one down, but I'm not going to go hunting for one.
Yeah.
You know?
So not that it's going to change your opinion, but as of 10 years ago, so a while, but not an insurmountable amount of time, parts availability was really good.
Oh.
It was the small trim pieces, just like everything.
Right.
But since everything on it was from their pedestrian models, so you can buy all of the mechanical parts as of 10 years ago. Didn't dig any further than that. But apparently, parts availability for what it was still really, really good. I imagine compared to a couple of others on this competitor list, it's probably fine. But I just don't know. Like for 10, I would have to see what 10 grand would get me in Nissan Z-Land if I was looking in this category.
Well, the Nissan, the 240, 260 Z cars, they did rust
Yeah.
badly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you won't find one of those without rust, without paying a real pretty penny, I think.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, a nice driver. Like,
Right.
what does $10,000 get you?
Yeah.
These are not numbers I'm actually going to do anything
Yeah,
with.
I understand.
It is possible to find an Opel today that's $1,200 and worth salvaging. That doesn't exist in Nissan 240Z land.
Got
Like,
it.
that's gone.
That's
Yeah.
a pile of flakes with a Nissan hood ornament.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen one of
Yeah.
those. It was $500 and
Yeah.
it was bad.
That he held together by carpet. like literally, that's structural now.
Yeah.
That upholstery is load bearing.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like,
I see the appeal, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm probably not going to go looking for one, but it would be kind of neat. You don't see them. I don't know when the last time I saw one of
Yeah.
these. You don't see them very often, and so it's heartening to hear that there are a few of them out there still, and it's an attainable kind of a cool vintage enthusiast car. I would think that could be a fun one for somebody to get into without breaking the bank.
yeah. From what I can tell, they don't get listed on the open market. It's probably either auction websites, like several of them sold on Bring a Trailer, but the swing there was like $15,000 to $46,000, which 46 was mid-pandemic, and
Yeah.
everything was ridiculous at that point.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, a nice driver for 15 for somebody who's looking for something fun that's inexpensive to operate, probably reasonably inexpensive to insure, is not likely to have more copies of it available. Like, you're not going to pull into your local car meet and you're like, oh, I'll just park with the rest of the Mustangs.
Yeah.
You know, like,
that is something to be said for that, to have a little
That's
bit of
true.
exclusivity and a little
Yeah.
bit of ooh, what's that? You know.
yeah. So it depends on what you're looking for in a car. Because like we said, the driving experience is probably pretty good. And if I was 5'9", maybe that would be something a little more viable.
Yeah, but you're 5'2" and you can't reach the pedals.
That's true. I got to use wood blocks. You know, I put some of that metal plumber's tape. You know, that's the holes are in
Strapping,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So I use tech screws for that. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was looking through our list of vehicles, and that we had episodes on, and I was just comparing it to the list of ideas I'd had, and I was trying to find one that sort of was the opposite of turbine car, but also not another citation.
Right. Somewhere in between.
Yeah, somewhere in between, because we had talked about like trying to. We have unknowingly managed to hit a pretty even spread of interesting, cool, and garbage.
Yeah.
So I was trying to aim into that.
Yeah.
What's funny is that when I came up with the turbine car, I was specifically being like, what can I do that is the polar opposite of Honda Civic? So we'll just keep bouncing back and forth until one of us goes off the rails.
And while I have brought both the Chevette and the Citation up, I also brought the Pantera and the Cyclone. Yeah, so we've all picked some.
Yeah. We've all picked some garbage on purpose, and we've all picked some
Yes,
stuff we'd actually
yeah.
want.
The terrible stuff can be a hoot to talk about.
Well, and that as I was reading through this and writing stuff down, I was like, this car is perfectly cromulent.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
it's a fine example of what it is.
I know quite a bit more about it now than I ever have before, and I'm pleasantly surprised that they were not terrible.
Did they make a Hot Wheels? Did you even bother looking?
Didn't look.
How about motorsports?
I didn't find anything about motorsports.
No, you looked. Okay.
I mean, I read lots of articles. Like Hemmings had a couple articles. Haggerty had an article. I watched a couple of videos from owners, and like nobody mentioned anything about motorsports. So I'm gonna guess.
I know Opel rallied a lot with the Manta,
Yeah,
and the Cadet, but I'm guessing that this was, since mechanically this would have been the same thing. I mean, yeah,
probably just with more fragility.
yeah.
I don't know. Clearly, it handled better than the Cadet, but also when you go to rally a car, I imagine that you can be like, oh, I need to put in bigger radiator fans, so I'm going to scoot this engine back 27 inches.
Yeah.
The transmission output's going to go directly into the input for the rear axle.
Well, you need a U-joint. Actually, I guess you need two U-joints technically, but
Well,
you just bolt them to each other. Yeah.
Given that it's a stick axle car, that you might need some slip in. You know, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I have. These have been on my radar since I was a teenager, and never pulled the trigger on one, but they're neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had an opportunity to seriously consider one, but I like you as a teenager 10 years farther in the past than you, I saw a few out there, but I think other stuff caught my eye and my tastes went in a different direction. So if I was going to get something from that era, it would more likely be something like an MG. I feel like.
Well, I can tell you that Miata engines fit pretty well in an MG. So
Yeah.
double the horsepower.
I'd kind of like to have a Miata again too.
Fuel
so
injection.
I'd probably rather have that than an MG at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna end up getting done with all of these and just realize that we just need to all buy Miatas before they become unattainable.
Yeah, but somebody's hoarding them and won't share.
Yeah.
That'd be Alan. He's over here making gestures like, I've been
only
telling you guys.
You only have like 1.5 at this point, don't you?
I've got 2.5 at this point.
Is the second one able to turn into a car?
Yeah, it had a mild front end collision.
Okay.
I have everything to reassemble it, but it's been sitting for Jesus, I don't know, 8 years now.
Yeah,
and then my other one was in a flood. So
I have been for about the past week or so. My mind keeps going back to E30s, and I know that I can't and don't want to afford an E30, but man, they were cool.
It's 9 better than an E30 that I know somebody who'd sell you one real cheap.
But I like the two-doorness of the. I mean, I do like four-door. If anybody can pull off, in my taste, a four-door, it's BMW.
Yeah.
BMW builds a good-looking four-door. They're like have to count to see if it's a four-door versus everywhere else. It's like that roofline's stupid. I don't want it.
Unless, like Alex is like, it's got to either be a coupe, a fastback, or so dorky that I'm like, yep, you've gone all the way back around.
A coupe, a fastback, a wagon,
Mm-hmm.
something so dorky. So it's pretty wide range. Now you want to sell me an E39?
I just wanted out of my
5
driveway.
Series that I know has had overheating and cooling system problems that I want nothing to do with.
Then you don't want a BMW.
Well, that's true. That is true.
E30's a little more resistant to that stuff, but yeah.
That's.
Did you really have that good of an experience with that E30 you had? The gold one?
It was silver. That ADA,
Yeah.
EDA, whatever they call it, the efficiency model one. It was a perfectly cromulent efficiency car. I only drove it for 6 months or something like that before I ended up selling it. But it was rusty, and so I was like, well, this isn't. It's the least desirable version, probably, except that it was a 2-door.
Yeah, it was a coupe.
It was a 2-door, so that
the least
wasn't
desirable
really
is the 4-door 318.
Yeah,
with the
true.
4-cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It was a 6-cylinder, and it had some issues. And I was like, this car just isn't nice enough for me to get too invested in. But my experience with it and just the general, when I look out at the world of cool cars, that one they just feel right for whatever reason. So,
Neat.
I mean, a lot of people agree with you, and that's why they're worth
yes,
something.
Yes.
Yeah, and I agree. I think they're neat.
Has nothing to do with our subject tonight.
No.
Where we progressed onto is cars that we're thinking about.
Well, I think we've run most of the ground available for the topic I have,
Yeah.
so now we're just talking about random other things.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. As usual, feel free to share us with your friends. No, we encourage you to share us with your friends who enjoy cars. Let them know that you enjoy it. Hopefully you do. And share, like us, subscribe, share our post on Facebook. Tell us what's going on with your cars, projects, or what recent thing that you had an experience with. We'd love to hear about it. And as always, stay fresh, cheese bags. That would be challenging, and they did have striking looks. I don't know that I ever liked them as much as maybe a Corvette or something like that. There's an owl that just flew by, or a hawk that's landing
This is a
up there.
big guy.
Yeah, probably an owl.
God, I'm sorry. This is why I don't need to sit close to the microphone, because you guys can hear every rumble my stomach makes.